All right, number 16 on page 215. We're supposed to do everything we possibly can. Analyze and sketch a graph of the function, label intercepts, relative extrema, points of inflection, asymptotes, and then check it on a calculator if you want to. So this is where we do everything. All right, so you take a look at that. You got f of x equals x cubed over x squared minus 4. You see any vertical asymptotes? What are they? Not 2 and 0, 2 and negative 2, right? Because that's where, look, I mean, I guess technically I ought to factor that, but I know what it's going to factor into. It's going to be x plus 2 times x minus 2. So there's two discontinuities. Neither of them are removable, so they're vertical asymptotes, okay? So x equals negative 2 and x equals 2 are vertical asymptotes. All right, now, we think about horizontal asymptotes, okay? But remember how it works. If the degree of the numerator is 1 greater than the degree of the denominator, then you don't get a horizontal asymptote, you get a slant asymptote. So we've not found one of those, we got to find one. We do it by long division, which I have worked out over here on the right. So you got to hold the places. Your divisor is x squared minus 4, but you got to hold a 0 for the x place, okay? And your dividend is just x cubed, but you got to hold a 0 for the x squared place, a 0 for the x place, and a 0 for the constant place. So the long division looks kind of scary. All right, so we get it set up, and then here's how you do the long division. So you good with holding the places, putting the 0x and the 0x squared and all that in there to hold places? All right, so x cubed divided by x squared is x. Now, where does the x go? Well, it goes in the x place, okay? So it goes in the x column. So it goes here, goes right above here, all right? So you put it there, and then you turn around and multiply. So you multiply x times negative 4, and you get your negative 4x. And then x times 0, so you get 0 in the x squared column. And then x times x squared, you get x cubed in the x cubed column. Then you subtract. 0 minus negative 4x is 4x. 0 minus 0 is 0. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. You can bring down that 0. It doesn't do much for you, does it? That's our remainder. Okay? By the way, if that had been something besides a 0 right here, if that had been a 2, then that would be our remainder, 4x plus 2. Okay? So you do bring it down. It's just that when you bring down a 0, you haven't done anything. So that's our remainder. So we did this. We went from here to here. Now we're going back to here. So rewrite your function. I've rewritten x cubed over x squared minus 4 to be x plus the remainder 4x over the divisor, x squared minus 4. So it's always the quotient on top plus the remainder over the divisor. All right. The linear part of your new rewritten, it's not a new function. The linear part of your rewritten function is your slant asymptote. So what's the linear part of this? F of x equals x. So y equals x is a slant asymptote. The rest of the problem works just like everything else we've done. So work on 16, and then we'll see what we get. Questions? Hoping there's no more than 20 or so of those on your test.